Good morning, guys. So it is Monday, May 19th. It's currently 7:20 and a week-long readathon of the Boys of Tommen series in anticipation for the new book, which comes out exactly 1 week on May 27th. It's a 6th book, releasing 10. So I'm rereading Binding 13, which is the first book in the series. I am on chapter 24, currently 39% of the way through. It hasn't been officially 24 hours yet, so that is actually really good progress. I completely forgot just how enticing this book is. Like, I woke up before my alarm today and I was just dying to continue reading, and just at good parts. It's so heartbreaking kind of seeing like Shannon and Joey, which is her brother, go through all these things again, but I'm really happy to be rereading it. And good morning, guys. Today is Thursday, May 22nd, and I just kind of wanted to check in. The last time I checked in was on Monday, and we last left off, I was about 50 or 40% of the way done with Binding 13. So today is Thursday. I officially finished Binding 13 on Tuesday, and then I jumped right into Keeping 13, which is the second book in the Boys of Tommen series by Chloe Walsh. Right now I am 42% of the way through Keeping 13. I'm on chapter 37, and still a great time. I'm still very much enjoying it. I definitely enjoyed reading Binding 13 all over again, and it was just so good. I know that sometimes I've read a lot of reviews that have criticisms of Chloe Walsh's writing simply because it feels kind of like Wattpad-y, and you know, it's not super beyond intricate and stuff. And I mean, I can see it, but it's definitely a very engaging read. She puts something in her books that just entices you and, you know, makes you want to keep reading, and you feel for the characters. And I mean, she definitely touches on some really heavy topics in her books. So I think it's just really well written. It's very engaging. I love the characters. I love their relationship, like with each other, in terms of like friendships, not necessarily all of the romantic relationships, but I definitely felt this the first time I read the series, and now the second time, that Binding 13 for me personally, it keeps you like on the edge of your seat going. Keeping 13 is kind of like hashing, stuff out and trying to get solutions to a lot of our main character's problem. It's definitely still a really good book, but in my opinion, I think it reads a little bit slower than Binding 13. Very excited for the new release. There's definitely a lot of things that I'm kind of like picking up the second time that I didn't really pick up the first time, with characters for the new book, which is going to be about Lizzie and Huey. So the first two books, Binding and Keeping 13, follows Shannon and Johnny's stories. Starts off with her being a 15-year-old girl, and she just kind of has a really hard time at home with her parents. She's not really in the best environment, with her family, with her parents, just, horrible things are happening to her. And then on the other side, you have Johnny, who is a rugby, pretty much rugby superstar at the age of 17. He's working really hard to, become a professional rugby player. Like, that's his dream. And then Shannon transfers into Tommen, which is like their high school. And that's where she meets Johnny on the first day. He like does something like accidentally, and it kind of like the catalytic event that drives their relationship forward. The third and fourth book follow Joey and Aoife. Some of the names are in the Gaelic language, so I'm so sorry if I mispronounced that, but I believe it's Aoife based off of the way that the author has, like, she has a pronunciation guide in the beginning. So the third and fourth book, follow Joey, which is Shannon's older brother, and his kind of like love story, and you like all the hard things that they go through in their family, you get it from his point of view. But because he's older, you kind of get it from an earlier time in his life. And then some events from the first two books kind of coincide with the third and fourth, but you're just seeing it from Joey's perspective. And I think that is a really just heartbreaking story, like all around. Very well written in my opinion, and just, you know, very engaging. Just it definitely is hard not to feel for the characters, in my opinion. And then the fifth book follows Gerard, or Gibbsy, and Claire. Gerard is Johnny's best friend, and Claire is Shannon's best friend, and they are pretty much childhood sweethearts. Like, they grew up together, they're neighbors. He is like head over heels in love with her, but of course, you know, he has something that has happened to him, and then that's kind of like where the rest of the story goes along. So the sixth book that's being released follows Claire's brother, which is Huey. He's also part of like Johnny's group of friends, and Lizzie, which is one of Shannon's friends as well, and kind of like their dynamic because they used to date. So I'm not sure if it's going to be a second chance romance, because in the first 5 books he does have a partner, like he does have a girlfriend. So don't know. I think that's part of the reason why I'm so excited for it. But hopefully, fingers crossed, we can get through Keeping 13 by tonight, and then tomorrow, or like, you know, hopefully finish it tomorrow morning or at some point, and then we can begin saving and redeeming 6, which is the third and fourth book, and then finish that throughout the weekend, and then hopefully by Sunday we can start Taming 7, which is the 5th book, and then finish that into Monday, and then we'll be set. Come Tuesday, book will be downloaded, ready to start. Okay, quick update. I'm 45% of the way through, and it's so funny. I love Gibbsy. I love seeing him make jokes. It's just a funny guy. But then when I think about his book and, you know, like all the sad things he goes through, it just makes me so beyond sad. But let's keep reading. Today is Friday, May 23rd, and I'm just doing a quick check-in. So yesterday, Thursday, I let you guys know I was about 30 or 40% of the way through Keeping 13. Spoiler alert, I did not really get to read that much yesterday night, so I read like a little bit, and then I've been up since like early this morning, and I've been reading. So now I am 69% of the way done, and I just got to the part where Shannon's brother Joey, like, he comes to the school, and because something happened to her, and I was honestly waiting for that moment, because when after that happens, like, the biggest part of the book comes like a little bit afterwards. So I definitely remember that from the first time I was reading it. So now we just got through that part, and yeah, still enjoying it. I definitely still stand that I guess the pacing of this book is a little bit slower than Binding 13, and I definitely remember that from the first time I read it last year, and now rereading it, like, Binding 13 just keeps me like going. Like, I want to know, I want to read like 25/8. I want to know what's happening. Keeping 13 still has that effect, but I just think not as much. And then also, can we just talk about real quick, for anyone that has read the book, you kind of know like what happens to Shannon and what's going on with her family. Like, she's in a really hard domestic violence situation with her family and stuff. And I also remember this, or having the same thought from last year when I read it, like in Keeping 13, she is definitely like growing more into her element. Like she, you know, likes Johnny and she's with Johnny. But there are certain things that I'm like, is this really what's going on in your head right now? Like out of everything, sorry, I'm playing with like little magnets. Out of everything that's going on in your life right now, like this is what you're thinking about. But I think it's fine. I think it's her semblance at like trying to live a normal 16-year-old life. This book definitely has a lot more comedic relief than I remembered from the first time I read it, which I definitely appreciate because it doesn't make it feel so tense all the time. And it's such a tense situation and it's so hard and so impactful, but that definitely, you know, the comedic relief definitely just kind of balances things out. So a long weekend, it's Memorial Day, so we'll definitely hopefully finish the book. We'll start saving and redeeming 6. Well, we'll start saving 6 whenever I finish Keeping 13. Good morning, guys. It is Tuesday, May 27th. It has actually been a couple of days since the last update. I don't even remember when it was. Okay, I had work emergency, so I had to unfortunately work over the weekend, Friday and Saturday. I finished it on Sunday morning. I finished it. I had like 5% left. So I finished it, and then I was really torn because the point of this video was to try and read all 5 books in anticipation of the release of the new one, which is called Releasing 10 by Chloe Walsh, and it came out today, Tuesday, May 27th. So because I finished Keeping 13 so late in the week, like that wasn't my goal. I wanted to have finished it way earlier so I could start saving 6 and then redeeming 6 and then retaining 7, of course, but it didn't. So then because it was Sunday, I had kind of like a busy Sunday as well, and then like just with my family and stuff. So I made the executive decision to not read saving like the rest of the books in the series, because I just knew that even if I read them as fast as I wanted to, I wasn't going to finish in time for the new release. And I still remembered pretty well like what went on in the books. So, and then I just said, okay, I'm not gonna read them, I'm gonna wait for the new book. So the new book is finally out. I have it right here on my Kindle. I purchased it yesterday and then it downloaded today. So I am 33% of the way in. So now Releasing 10 follows Lizzie and Hugh, which is Claire's brother and like her best friend when they were young. So if you knew from the first books, and I'm not sure if this is a spoiler, but I don't really think it is. I think it says it all over the place. But if you know anything about the books, you know that Lizzie is considered to be very, very explicitly mean. Like we know that she had an older sister, and her older sister committed suicide, and she's just like really mean towards Gibbsy, even like one of the characters, because she feels like his stepbrother, you know, like played a hand in her sister committing suicide. And then Hugh, which is Claire's brother, we know very little about him other than the fact that he is Claire's brother. He plays rugby for Tommen College. He's friends with Johnny, and he's dating someone named Katie. And then it wasn't actually until Taming 7, I want to say, the 5th book, that you found out that Huey and Lizzie actually used to date, and then something happened and they broke up. And I have to say that it is a heartbreaking story. Now, if you've read the other books, you know that Lizzie is depicted like a complete bully. Like she is so mean. She just kind of gives off a very attitude of like, she says whatever the hell she wants. If you like it, great. If you don't, great. She does kind of like whatever the hell she wants, and you can kind of see like her mood like goes up and down a lot. And it says it like the other characters say it, like her moods fluctuate a lot, and a lot of people believe that it's because she's still mourning the passing of her older sister. The way that Taming 7 finished was very, like, you find out something in Taming 7 that happened to Gypsy. And then the way that Taming 7 ends between Gypsy and Lizzie, it just kind of feels like she is going to be outcasted. So that's why I was partly very excited to start releasing 10, because I wanted to see how that picked up, how that got resolved. Because mind you, these are childhood best friends that unfortunately are going through a lot of different traumas. So it is just the way it started. I have to say that it is a very heartbreaking story for Lizzie, and I think that the way she acts is explained, and I think it's going to be, and mind you, I'm not even in the book at the part where her sister is gone. We're not even there yet. Like, we're still very much seeing their interaction, and it still feels very heartbreaking because it just feels like this is not a normal sibling relationship. Like, it doesn't seem healthy is the way that it does. It's very heartbreaking. But on the other side, Huey, I think I love his character. I've always really enjoyed his character, seeing him like as a side character in the other books, but now seeing him like up close and personal and in his thoughts, I'm very much enjoying his character. He seems very smart, very intelligent. The way that the book is written is with them being young, so you start like in a past timeline, and instead of there being chapters, they're like dates, and that is very reminiscent of Saving and Redeeming 6. The writing feels very much like Chloe Walsh in those first 4 books. Taming 7 definitely did not feel like a Chloe Walsh book, and it's really sad because Gypsy is such a good character, and his story is also just beyond heartbreaking. And actually seeing his friendship and Lizzie's when they were young is heartbreaking. It's so heartbreaking to know that someone who just did something so horrible to both of them caused their friendship to be what we know them to be, like when they're older, when they're teenagers. And that is so beyond heartbreaking because like their issue come from the same person. I anticipate I'm probably gonna get to somewhere by like the 50% mark by the end of the day. I really want to take my time and I want to enjoy it and I want to break it down and dissect it, but it's the most anticipated release for me this year ever since I found out it was coming out like 2 months ago. I just want to continue reading. I want to know what happened in between Huey and his girlfriend. Like, I want to know how they got to where we meet the characters in the first book, like where they're just so distant and apart. Like, I don't even think they really talk or like direct much of words to each other, so I think that's going to be very interesting to see. Okay, so it is a little bit later in the day and I just wanted to do a quick check-in on releasing 10. So I am 45% of the way through the book, so I'm a little bit under halfway. I anticipate that I'm going to end the night at the halfway mark or a little bit over the halfway mark. I think I'm really heartbroken by everything that she's going through. I mean, I can kind of understand why she would be the way she is seen or portrayed in the other books after being in her head. I think it's definitely really sad. A bit of a contradictory opinion. I mean, I don't know yet, right? Because again, we're 45% of the way of the book and we're not there yet. I thought that her relationship with her sister would be a lot different. Like, I thought that they were super close, but she's like the complete opposite. So I get it. She is older, and I think she's older by 6 years. Because the part where I'm at now, I think Lizzie just turned 12, and she mentions that her sister somewhere along the way said that she was like 18. So I think there's a 6-year gap in between them. So I thought that she would just be more present in her sister's life, and we're definitely not seeing that. So if you are reading the book or planning to read it, just know we hate Mark across the board. We hate him in all the books. If you know, you know. And yes, we'll keep reading and we'll check in later. Morning. I thought I'd do a quick little check-in before I went to work. So I think the last time I talked to you guys, I was like at 45% of the way through, or like I was somewhere in the 40%. So yesterday night I finished at 61%, and right now this is the chapter or the part that I'm on. Everyone has been led to believe one specific thing, but because Lizzie all her life has been diminished because she just suffers from mental illness, like no one believes her, and she is the key to what happens. So I think that everyone else, especially her family's lack of belief in her, is what has caused this to like just no one believes her, to the point that like even she doesn't believe herself, and the only person that does believe her is Hugh. And I think that like it must be extremely hard being Hugh and being in a situation like that where you're just trying to literally help the one person you care about and the person like you love and your partner. And it must be extremely hard when at some point like they just stop giving up on themselves, because it's like at that point, no matter how much you want to help, it's really out of your control. Like it's really up to that person, you know, to want to try and like be healthy again. So I think it's really hard on his side, and it must be extremely hard on her side as well, because again, no one believes you. Like she knows the truth about what happened to her sister, and even we as the readers, like we're getting pieces and you're like putting it together in your head and you're like, okay, this happened, but she doesn't even believe herself as far as like what happened. So it is just really sad to kind of read and like see it as a reader from the outside looking in. Honestly, like the only thing I can say is like, oh my god, like this is just like really sad. My prediction for the last 40% is I feel like something is going to happen between Lizzie and Hugh. And I think it's probably going to be somewhere along the way where like, you know, he gets, I don't want to say he gives up, but maybe like he just kind of feels like there's nothing else he can really do to help her, and then they split. Again, if you've read the other books, you know that the way it starts, Hugh and Liz are just not together. So yeah, I'm wondering what's really going to happen within the last 40%, and if we will at any point get to where Taming 7 left off. Because that if we don't get to there, then there's going to be another book, which I'm totally fine with. I'm totally fine with there being a completely other book. So I don't know, or I wonder if the next book she'll go back to Gibbsy and Claire's point of view, and then like, I don't know, finish it there. I don't know. But again, there's only 40% of the book left where I'm at right now. And it's still a lot of years to get to where Taming 7 left off. I hope it's not a rush 20%, just so that there isn't another book. Like I'd rather there be another book and let it be fleshed out completely, instead of just like, okay, we got the entire history, and then in the last 20%, you get present day, or like where we last left off with Taming 7. And then it's like, it ends. Because it's like, what the hell? Good morning. Happy Friday. Today is Friday, May 30th. So it's the second to last day of the month. I hope everyone has had a good month. I wanted to do a quick check-in. I officially finished Releasing 10 yesterday night. My final thoughts about the book, they're kind of mixed, right? Overall, I thought it was a really good book in the sense that as a reader, it kind of does keep you engaged and wanting to keep reading. Now, the actual events that take place within the book, they're really heartbreaking, they're really sad, and they are really hard topics for anyone at any age to go through. So I can't even imagine what it's like for, you know, like someone at 5, 6 years old. Like that was a really hard book. It's really sad. It can be a little bit uncomfortable at times with just some of the scenes. And I know that there have been just kind of like comments online and stuff saying that like maybe it's really graphic. Like I've heard both sides, right? I've heard people say that like it's not really graphic because it's not descriptive, and then that it's really graphic because what it's telling you, it opens your mind up to the imagination of it being really graphic. I think I agree on both sides that yes, the writing is not very intricate, it's not super descriptive, like it's not telling you like the white petals on this rose bush. It's nothing like that, but the dialogue in and of itself and just the thoughts, especially in Lizzie's chapter, very graphic in the sense that like it is very telling of what is happening, and like just anyone with any general common sense can depict. Like I knew what was happening from the minute, like, you know, no spoilers or anything, but like I knew what was happening the minute that like she met Mark. Like from their first interaction, like you can kind of already tell like, okay, this is not going to, you know, be ending up well. I don't know if it's that much of a redemption arc, but I think that I can understand why Lizzie is the way she is towards Gypsy. I can see it. Like I can see why it's really hard to put your faith or like, you know, deeply trust someone and think that they're going to help you, and then when you need them, they're kind of don't. But I think I can also understand his side. Like he lost his family, like he lost his dad, he lost his sister. He felt like he was the cause of their death, and at the same time, from what we know from his book, like he's also going through some pretty dark times. So I can understand how it's like, yeah, like I want to help, but I'm also really scared of the unknown of like what is going to happen if I do help. So I think I can understand both sides. And it's really heartbreaking because when you see them be friends as young, they're really close. So then seeing them kind of like what we know present day is definitely hard to like just read about, and like, you know, it's like a lost friendship. And sometimes like you can lose relationships like with a significant other and partners, but sometimes losing friendships hurts a lot more than like losing a partner, you know. I feel like if there is going to be a redemption arc for her, it's definitely not going to happen until the next book, because if you've gotten to the end, then you know that the way this book ends, there's definitely room for there to be a second book or like a continuing book. So I anticipate that coming within the next year or within the next 2 years, but we definitely know there has to be another book. I think in the acknowledgements, like right before, like she kind of says it, like continue along with their story. So yeah, I think that her redemption arc would really come in. There is a second book. Hugh, I still very much enjoyed Hugh's character, like from beginning to end. I have seen some comments online that say like he doesn't talk his age or he doesn't really act his age, and I agree with it, but I kind of like it. He is very emotionally mature and intelligent, and we know Johnny was very mature and very intelligent, but we also kind of saw him in keeping 13 kind of struggle with those feelings, being like a savior and having someone in your life that is dealing with significant trauma and just your own stuff. Like he was recovering from an injury, so we see Johnny was very mature and intelligent for his age as well. Like he knew right from wrong, but I think there's a clear distinction in the sense that like Johnny did not, like, I don't want to say he didn't feel capable, but I felt like it was very real that he struggled having to deal with like caring for someone that was going through trauma when you yourself have never experienced that sort of trauma. As they got older into their like teenage years, Hugh is very mature. He has experienced someone dealing with such significant trauma, and he doesn't even know half of it. Like we see that. And towards the later half of the book, there's a lot of scenes or like there's a lot of interactions between them that as the reader we're not really shown, but that they talk about. And knowing, like, for example, Gypsy, I don't think that he's emotionally immature. I just think he chooses to act that way as a coping mechanism. And that's okay too, right? Like everyone just has to kind of get by in a different way. So it was very nice to see Gibbsy again in this book, and just kind of seeing him like in a different way, and like seeing Claire. Then the last thing I kind of want to like talk about, because again this just kind of really happened at the very two things. So the separation between Huey and Lizzie, I like, honestly I don't know how I feel about it, but I think it like makes sense. But I also don't know how I feel about it, because it was kind of like foreshadowed that like this was going to happen. In one of the chapters, he specifically like, and it's literally like 3 chapters, I want to say, if I remember correctly, it's like 3 or 4 chapters. Like he says, like Hugh says something to Lizzie, and then it's like 4 chapters like this is happening, and then it's like their separation. Kind of felt like, okay, we need to give them a reason to separate, because we have already introduced Hugh with this other character. So like we need to get to that point, right? And it's like, how are you going to make them get there in a way, right? Like it was the safest method to get them to separate, because we kind of already felt like Hugh was like get tired, but like just very like defeated at the fact that like he's trying to, like, he has done this for a decade, and he has been there through her ups and downs. And again, it's just really hard, because when you're dealing with topics like this, it's like there is no right or wrong answer, right? Like there's just an answer. So there was that. And then I did like seeing him and Katie like meet, and I thought that was really nice. Overall, I enjoyed my experience with the book. I thought it very much felt reminiscent of Chloe Walsh's writing in like the first 4 books. Like I keep saying, I was very engaged throughout. Like I really felt for her characters, and I just wanted to be like reading with them, and you know, just the entire time. So I am excited for the next book. Whenever it comes out, whether it's a continuation of Lizzie or Katie, or whether it's like a continuation from Gibbsy and Claire, or like if it's a mixture of both, I don't know. I'm very excited for it. I definitely wish that the next book kind of picks up right where Taming 7 left off, and they're having like that heated discussion like at the school, and then it kind of feels like lines drawn like in the sand. Like that's where I want the next book to kind of pick up. And I definitely need like a chapter from everyone's perspective in that room. Like I need it from Shannon, I need it from Johnny, I need it from Gibbsy, I need it from Claire, I need it from Joey, I need it from Lizzie. I don't remember Patrick. Everyone in that room, everyone that was in that room in the final chapters of Taming 7. And if you've read it, you know when they're like having an argument in the kitchen, they're at the school, I think Joey is like making toast. That's where I need the very first sentence needs to be that scene, and then I need it from everyone's perspective, because like I just needed to know, right? Like these are childhood best friends. Like these are people that have grown up together, have literally been there for each other, unfortunately have suffered traumatic events that will like scar them for the rest of their lives, and like they like their parents don't know, like they have been there. And like I just need to know, because how do you make that line from someone that you have known forever over something that like you just don't have any control over? Like there's just a common evil here, and like no one seems to know it. Like, and it's very sad, because Lizzie is the key to not break this friendship group up. And it's like you can't help but be like, girl, just speak, like I believe you, so talk. But anyways, yeah. Also, quick thing, where in the world, like Lizzie's parents like failed her to the extreme, and so did her sister, like failed her dad and her sister. Honestly, I can't even, like, I can understand that it's hard, right? Like it's hard to have to manage a situation like that where you love someone and you want them to be good, and like nothing you do seems to help them. And like I can understand, right? Like some people just don't have the patience for it, or the tolerance. Like if we all had the same patience and amount of tolerance, like there would be no crime in this world. Like we'd all be angels. So I can understand that. But like, where are you that like you are not taking care of your child. You know, she has been harming herself since she was extremely young. Like, you're literally physically seeing it. Like, and her mom, I know that her mom has been her number one supporter, like, throughout the entire book, and like has always just been like, you know, trying to defend her and stuff. But I feel like sometimes when you try and shield someone so much and protect them, like, you become blind or unaware of certain things. And I feel like in a way that's also failing someone. Like, you can want to protect someone and be there for them and be their shield, but you still need to be open, and what's right is right and what's wrong is wrong. And like, even if it hurts you to have to do this to someone, like, you if it's in their best interest, then you have to do it. Like, it's not about you, it's about this person that you're trying to help, that is going through it, that you're seeing it. So I know I want to talk about a specific scene, like, now that I say that, and like, it's just like a spoiler, so I don't want to say it if you've read the book. But what I'm trying to say is that, like, I think Hugh does a very good example of that. There's a part in the book where something happens and he sees it, and he like goes and tells her parents, and Liz gets upset. Like, she gets mad, and she's like, you're just like a liar, like, you betrayed me. It's like, you see it that way, but he sees it as like, this is a form of me protecting you, even if it's protecting you from yourself. Overall, again, just, I enjoyed my experience with it. It's a very sad, heartbreaking book. I would definitely check for any sensitive topics for anyone, you know, in the event that you have gone through something similar, or unfortunately have known someone that has gone through something like that. So, you know, just keep that in mind. There's some very sensitive topics being addressed, and it's very open. I can't wait for her next project. I hope that, you know, we kind of continue seeing these characters, and we kind of give them like a pretty good ending in a way that feels justified, not just for the sake of an ending. Give me something realistic. So thanks so much for coming on this week-long, almost 2 weeks journey with me while we kind of jumped back into the world of the Boys of Tommen series. So yeah, thank you guys so much, you know, just for sticking around, hanging around with me. If you've read the book, have any thoughts, opinions, or on it, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Try and put, like, if you're gonna talk about any specific scenes where you feel like it might be a spoiler, just try and put a note so that anyone who hasn't read the books yet, or is maybe just interested in reading the books at some point, you still have a chance to go in and like experience it blind like we all did. But yeah, so thank you guys so much. I hope you guys have a lovely rest of your May.